Years ago, I was working with an advisor who started every seminar with the exact same story. The story was about a Midwest farmer whose farm was growing so quickly that he needed to hire some help. So he did what any blue-collar business owner did at the time and put an ad out in the local paper looking for a farmhand. Weeks went by, and he only received one response. So without any other options, he called the young man who had applied and invited him for an interview. They were sitting at the farmer's kitchen table, and the farmer started asking questions. The first question: have you ever worked on a farm before? The young man looked at the farmer, straight-faced, and said, "No, sir, but I do sleep well on windy nights." The farmer was slightly confused, but brushed it off and asked the next question: have you ever worked with farm animals before? The young man looked at him without batting an eye and said, "No, sir, but I do sleep well on windy nights." The farmer was now getting frustrated, but decided to keep going. He asked the young man, "Have you ever worked with farm equipment before or any machinery?" And yes, you guessed it, the answer was, "No, sir, but I do sleep well on windy nights." So the farmer sent the young man home, slept on it for a few days, and said, "You know what, I don't have any other options. I think he can learn. I'm going to give him a shot." So he called him, and he hired the young man. The weeks were going by, and everything was going well. The farm was running efficiently. The young man was learning his chores and doing a good job. Until one night. Now, I'm a Midwest kid, but I'm from Chicago, so I don't know much about farms. But one of these storms that books are written about was about to roll over this farm. And the trees were blowing like crazy, and the shutters were banging against the farmhouse. And so the farmer jumped out of bed, and he ran down the hallway, and he started banging on the young man's door, saying, "Hey, get up, we got to go outside, there's a storm coming, we got to get ready." And there was no answer. He called him on his phone. Again, no answer. So the farmer, without any other options, ran outside by himself. He ran to the horse barn and saw that all the horses were put away, and all the saddles were stacked, and the lines were tied up. He ran to his tool shed, saw that all the tools were neatly put away, and that everything was secure. And he ran to his hay bale barn, and saw that all the hay bales were stacked neatly, and everything was tied down. And then he ran outside to check his fence and his gates, and saw that all the posts were secure and all the gates were locked. And so he ran back in and went to bed. They woke up the next morning and they were having breakfast together. And the farmer looked at the young man and said, "I am very angry with you. We had a huge storm roll through here last night, and I tried to wake you up because I needed your help, and you were nowhere to be found." And the young man looked at the farmer and said, "Do you remember what I told you when we first met?" And the farmer thought to himself, "That's right. You said you slept well on windy nights." Now, the moral of this story, and the reason for telling it at every seminar, was that it was so vitally important for these folks to prepare for the storms that were inevitably coming for their retirement, and that if they did prepare, they would sleep better at night. In the end, everyone was after peace of mind. But it got me thinking, how many advisors actually follow the same advice within their own business? Storms were inevitably going to come for your practice as well. In fact, we're right in the middle of one in the form of a global pandemic. The number one way advisors grew their practice and generated new clients had completely stopped, and many were left scrambling to adjust, while others continue to thrive because they added storm-proof marketing tactics to their business. I work with many of these advisors every day and would love to share some of these strategies with you. In the end, it might not be right for everyone, but if you head over to trent-martin.com and schedule a 15-minute strategy session, we'll find out together.